Hello, everybody. This is Leonard Johnson from the Run the Hammer podcast, and man, and I geek and fired up tonight. We got all these youngsters on, and I am so blessed to and happy to be in the presence of wisdom, greatness, and some other things that I cannot even mention on this thing. So. I just want to thank you guys for tuning in and really thank these guys for coming on the show with us because this is something that I could, well, it was pushed and I made it and we made it happen. Um, Let me tell you the motivations behind these, and I'll throw out some names that and these are not all inclusive, but these are the ones that I can't remember. Willie Jeffries, Virgil Wells, Tommy Smith, Marty Risher, Mundo Buckshire, Louis Gold. I mean, these are some of the legends of athletics in South Carolina, and we back in the day we didn't have a chance to showcase like this these great coaches because each and every one of us in here stood on the shoulders. We're standing on the shoulders of those guys who pioneered this thing, and and I just didn't want this to go by without at least mentioning those guys and giving them motivation for why we do this, and to and to see what those guys have made of these men right here, because we think we had hard times, but when you go back and think about the times that was before, those guys really had some hard time in trying to get this to get us going as far as athletics. I can remember sitting with Virgil Wells when we used to have the clinic in Columbia. And Virgil's from Mayo of Darlington, I believe. And man, I just marvel at that man. I mean, he such wisdom. I mean, I don't know if he took me as an understudy or whatever, but man, he just took me. And every time he opened his mouth, I closed my mouth and opened my two ears and just listened. And I think I was in Texas when I found out that he died, but. Man, I was hurt. I was hurt for that, and of course, Willie Jeffries. A lot of you guys come from under those roots, and you got Tommy Smith from Howard High School. I mean, these are giants. And to do what they accomplished back in the day to right now, I mean, it is something else. But beyond that. I'm gonna go around the table here, and from my viewpoint, and let everybody introduce themselves, and we can go from there. Let's according to my screen right here. Tony is next to me. Tony, you want to introduce yourself? Can you hear me, Tony?
Hey, yeah, Tony Felder. I'm Tony Felder. Yeah, that's what happened with age, man. You get a little senile, can't hear. Let me put them hearing aids in. But
I gotta put on this glasses to hear what you say.
I can see. I'm looking at that thing. I'm trying to read this thing ticking across. And I say he got this thing. He running the hammer. I thought Coach was getting ready to draw up some plays, but yeah, I'm Tony Felder. Hey, listen, officially retired football coach in South Carolina. Didn't leave the state of South Carolina, so South Carolina high school and college football has been great to me. Been my livelihood. So I'm Tony Felder from South Carolina.
We'll get more deep into you in a minute, Tony, but let me make this announcement right here. If any of you have a question for these giants, just go ahead and type in the questions, and I'll get it to them. Just let me know who you're addressing that question to, that statement too, and we'll go from there. And next to him, I don't know what to label him. The great one, Benny McMurray. Go ahead, Benny.
Hello. Yes, my name is Benny McMurray. I did roughly 40 years in high school football. Most of it was here in the state of South Carolina. I ventured to North Carolina and did 5 years, but stayed here basically in the state. Some good relationships with all these guys pictured here and a few more. Lynn, if I may be so not bold, but if you don't mind, if I would add a name to that list of giants that you call out prior to the show is William Pap Lewis.
Yes.
He was a giant from Wilson and Florence, Booker T. Washington and Columbia, and then my alma mater, Bar Street High School. We all learned a lot from all these guys, so just like to add him to that list.
Gladly so. I don't know them all, but
oh yeah.
But you guys been around longer than me in South Carolina, and you know them. And the Giants. That's all I can say. And unless you know your history, you don't know where you're going. Next up, at the bottom there, we got the great one, Nate Thompson. Go ahead, Nate.
I don't know about that great part, because I'm not that great yet. But yeah, my name's James Nate Thompson. Man, this is going into my 43rd year, having a ball. I started out at Myrtle Beach, and then I ended up at Conway, and somebody offered me a job down in a little place called Chowpee, and I love it down there. And next thing I turned it into Carver's Bay. I spent 20 years there, and I retired. That's it. I'm done. And then the young man that I coached in high school at Conway, he ended up with the head job. So he said, "Well, Coach, I just need you to come up there and stand around." I said, "I can do that." I said, "I'm asking me to do a lot of coaching now because I might not know what them young fellas know." But he took me. He's, "Come on, man." So I'm up there now at Conway High School, just doing some defensive line work and just having fun.
Okay, and then we come to the guy who kind of keep all of us straight a little bit, by giving us that look sometimes. Go ahead, Tommy.
I don't know where you get that from, Tommy Brown. I wish I can tell you how many years I've been coaching. I've been coaching so long, I don't know if I did anything else, but I've been blessed to be in this game for a long time and been thankful for what the game has done for me in my life. So I can't even name all the schools I've been at in Georgia and South Carolina, but I think most people know me from Owensboro Wilkinson High School. But presently, I'm doing a little something at Allen University where having a little fun still. So as long as I'm enjoying the game, hopefully I can continue to do that.
And then we got the youngster in the group. I tell you, man. This guy do more posting on Facebook than me. Go ahead, Darryl.
I'll tell you, my name's Darryl Page. Just finished my 36th year of coaching here in South Carolina.
Yeah,
it kind of tells you a little bit about my history. I worked for Tommy Brown at OW, and spent a majority of my career at Wilson High School in Florence from '93 until 2012. Did 4 years at Lower Richland High School from 2012 to 2016, and have been back in Florence ever since as the quarterback coach and offensive coordinator at West Florence High School. So, like I said, I just finished my 36th year, and we started 7-on-7 today, so I'm going into my 37th year. Life lasts and nothing happens. So, grateful for that, what the game has done for me and my family and what's provided for us.
And each one of y'all take a turn and answer this. What got each one of y'all into coaching? Oh, hold that question there. Everybody bow down now.
Lakeland has arrived.
Look, I thought you had to
You're chopping up just a little bit, buddy.
see if I can. Let me see if I can help this deal here. Can
Yeah, we got you now.
you hear me now? Okay.
Yeah, we got you now.
All right,
Go
guys. How's everybody?
All right.
All right,
Who
buddy.
we got here? Darryl Page out there. Hey, Darryl.
Yeah. Hey, buddy.
Hey, Darryl. How you?
Can't complain, man. Don't do a bit of good.
Ain't no need. Yes. All right, let you know what I'm doing. I'm sorry.
I go. Since you got the mic, buddy, go ahead and introduce yourself.
Well, I'm Buddy Pough. I'm the head football coach here. As like I said, I've been around for about 20 years and been in the state for all years. I'm sitting right now watching the state. You see that? And trying to see if we can figure out something here for this coming season. And, it's a joy every day to be in the office and be able to watch a little football. Play with these kids. We starting to get our guys ahead of the summer. About 13 kids have summer one. We'll have a 90-something odd in here in another 3 weeks or something. From that point on. No. All right, guys, just on let them.
Okay. Now, for each one of you, what got you into this thing called coaching? We'll start reversing. What about you, Tommy? You want to handle that first?
Yeah. Well, I decided earlier that I wanted to coach. When I was a young man, I enjoyed working with kids younger than me. So it was one of the things that I tell people, how you always want to do your dream job. Well, coaching has always been my dream job. As an athlete, I decided that early that if I wasn't going to be an athlete, then I wanted to coach. So this was my dream ever since I can remember, to coach. So I've been fortunate I tell everybody when I work, most people don't get to work their dream job. They think about it, but I was one of the ones who got to get in this field, and this is what I really, really want to do. So to me, it really had never been considered as work because it's what I dreamed of all my life.
What about you, Tony?
Well, growing up, coming through, I didn't have a single parent. So your father figure was always you in athletics in high school, then you come to South Carolina State, and you got people like Sam Goodwin and Coach Jeffries and Buddy and those guys. So you actually wanted to be like them, So that was kind of it. Everybody want to play professional football. That's everybody's dream of going to college. And if you ain't big enough, you ain't fast enough, then we started out coaching. We went in education. I'm a media specialist. And so I got certified to teach. You know what I'm saying? I'm like, damn, I'm in the library. So this is a job, So married my college sweetheart, and she said, you got to have a job. So so I went into the library and coaching. So, that's been my livelihood. That's provided for my family up, right here.
And Benny, when I moved back to South Carolina, the only thing I heard is this guy named Benny McMurray. Man, he's killing it and everything. And I said, who in the hell is Benny McMurray? What got you into this game of coaching?
Well, actually, it was my daddy. We had a little country baseball team. Didn't even have uniform. We played in T-shirts and blue jeans and tennis shoes. But we played on the churchyard. And as I grew older, Dad was there always. I got not forced, but convinced to coach a little league baseball team, and got to South Carolina State. I tell people the story. We played Lincoln High of Sumter back in 1967 for the state championship, and unbeknownst to us, Ed Martin and Roosevelt Holmes, they were the umpires for that game, and they were the baseball coaches at South Carolina State. So after the game, by the way, we won. They gave me and my catcher, I was a pitcher, they gave me and my catcher scholarships. So it came to South Carolina State, best decision I ever made in my life, educational wise. I tell people that all the time. And once I graduated, I wasn't going to teach. I told me, kids too goddamn bad. What the hell I want to go in the classroom for? And a job came over at Beaufort High School, my first teaching and coaching job. The guy who coached the American Legion baseball team, we were the first 4 blacks to play down there. He wanted me to start the baseball program back. So I went out to Beaufort, and 1 year later, he had 2 vacancies on the football team. Coaching staff. So they asked me to coach football. I didn't know a 2 technique from a down block. I didn't know a reach block or sweep or ISO. I didn't know none of that. But I went out there and stayed with it, and I learned and I read, and you talk to people in this game that you trust, like Tony Felder, who steal your information and use it against you. But over the years, particularly coming out of high school, the Coach Pat Lewis, like I said earlier, was a very big influence. W.D. Young, Floyd White, he's an old bulldog. These guys meant a lot to me, and they made you a man, so to speak. And to me, when a person says coach, that means something. It always meant something to me. I tell people it's 2 true calling professions when you do them right and you treat people right and treat kids right. That's a coach and a pastor, because you can influence so many people. And I've kind of used that as my little mantle all through the years to, be right by kids. Now, I give them hell. Now, good Lord, don't get me wrong. I am hell on kids back when I was coaching. You guys still coaching today? Man, I admire you. It's tough. It's tough as hell coaching. You can't get in the face. You can't touch the face mask. You can't pop them upside. Man, I couldn't do it because I used to do that with the best of them. But it's calling. It's something I don't regret. Like everybody else has said, it has afforded me and my family a comfortable living. And I've been retired 40 years, 39 and a half years. And I retired in 2013, and had some ideas about going back, but it's time for that new blood to come on.
What about you, buddy? What got you in this great game?
Yeah, I started in coaching because I could do that. I could do anything else. What I was going to do, I was so sorry coming along as a student in college, and coach finally my shirt tail. Man, I don't know what you do, going the way you go. And I thought I had the world in my hand. I could do it. I was a pretty good master. And I thought I had passed the NT back somewhere, whatever that was we had, back kind of early senior in college. I hadn't done all that great classroom. So, I get into a year and graduate because I the stuff I was supposed to do. I had to go and practice that second that December that that fall of my fifth year in college. I played my. I didn't have anything to do. Coach say, "Well, you gonna come out here with Bill and work with offensive line, and we're gonna see." And I always felt a special kind of responsibility to try to help everything I could for my time. And I can tell you that I empathize with them, not knowing where they're going, trying to find like that. I didn't have a clue that I was coach. All I knew at the point kind of lucky going on through, and had played great coaches. My coach was named Dick Sherman. I know that name. I played for Coach Banks here, for Coach Jeffries. Those guys, great guys to emulate. I made you feel like that you were cared that kind of. So to this day, my biggest passion is trying to win a relationship, trying to really do what I could to kids understood that I cared about and want the best for them. And they seem to appreciate. People talk about the difference of kids now, and the kids back early in my career. It's been 45 years now. I can tell you that I'm as excited today about the young that I have on our team as I have at any time I've been. And they don't necessarily do everything right. They got some problems. Social media stuff, all the different kinds of stuff today. And you're right. They pop in the head. I tell you what, I claim being old and minded. They can't be there because they know, and everything is video today. So anytime you do, and I'm here, my coach getting fired today because they're beating, and the coach on their phone. But you know what? I hadn't had those kinds of problems. I see all kinds of stuff going on, but it hadn't changed. These kids are still good kids. I can tell you, I love working with them, and you got to put a little staff. And that's just part of life. But now it's been more fun than it has been work. That's been the best part of the whole deal. I ain't working there. You can't call it work when you go into play. That's just kind of how I felt all these years.
Yeah.
It's some dark nights, it's some long days, times when you're tired. From sun up down, but still all fun and enjoying that kind of stuff. I can tell you that I know that not because it was pushed upon me. I've done it because it was given to me as a way to, have a way to stay around. I love ball. I want the fake. I want hanging around the ball, and this is what was available to me. And at that point, I went on about the show. I'm trying to figure out how to get better.
Okay, buddy. Work on your mic there for a minute while we going. You're chopping up just a little bit.
It might be my phone, and I should have probably done this thing over my laptop, but my laptop won't be.
Okay. Well, we'll tolerate you.
Well,
All
let me see if I can go from to something. I don't know what the hell that is. Let's see.
Okay, you go work on that, and I'll get Darryl. Darryl, what got you here, man?
I tell you what, it's a funny thing, Leonard. I had originally I majored in English at Winston-Salem State. I was going to law school, and I had an aunt and an uncle who lived in Atlanta, and I applied to law school down in Atlanta. I didn't want to be a starving law student, so I figured I'd teach during the day and go to law school at night. And that summer I was home in Bennettsville. Bennettsville is my hometown, and I come from my mom was an educator, and she said, "Well, you got that certification up there, boy. You need to go do something. Go ahead and apply up there at the district office." So I went up to the district office, not expecting to get a job. Interviewed one day, the next day they hired me at McCall High School. And during that same year, I was accepted to law school. And by then I was coaching on the 1A level. I was coaching football, basketball, baseball. I was the young black coach in there. And I had no idea about coaching basketball or baseball, but I had good people around me. And I tell any coach now, at least one time in your life, you need to coach girls. Because you'll find out if you can coach now. You'll find out if you can coach. That's the real.
Yes, sir.
And so that next year, as a matter of fact, I was on the staff with Thomas Saxon was the head coach at OW at the time. And Sax recruited me in high school. And Buddy was on the staff. It was a veteran staff. And he saw one of my former teachers at a fraternity meeting in Columbia. Asked him what I was doing. And he told me I was back at home coaching. So I went down to OW, interviewed for the job, and they hired me. And even though I did not finish grad school in Orangeburg, I got a PhD in people. From the 7 years I worked at Orangeburg in high school, I learned a lot about myself, and I learned a whole lot about people. And that's how I kind of got into it. And, it's funny, I still got that letter of acceptance to law school, and that had to be 1987. So that's how I kind of got into it, and it's become my life. That's what I do. I'm a coach.
And you, Nick?
Well, you know this is gonna be long, right? That's why. I'm not gonna do that. I promise. Well, to tell you the truth of the whole matter is, when I was actually raised by a 79-year-old grandmama, taught me how to read and write, things that matter. But I was a bad child now. I'm a child bad. So I got shipped off to my sister and brother-in-law. And my brother-in-law was Leroy Rainbow. At the time, he was coaching. And, I was a bad kid. I ain't want to be doing that. He said, you ain't staying around here and get trouble. You going with me. Well, he coached out there at a little school called Chestnut High School out there in North Myrtle Beach back there. And that was like 30 miles away. He'd get up 5 o'clock in the morning. Come on, let's go. And I get up 5, went out there, water boy, and pick up dummies and wash clothes. And then I'd watch him take all these kids home. And then, then we'd have to get in the car and then drive back all the way back to Conway, which is another 30 miles. And this was like every day in the summer. And I was like, man, I don't know if I want to do this here. I don't even, coaching is crazy. I said, my brother-in-law, something wrong with him. Well, anyway, I used to watch him hand kids money. Now, I asked the man for $2 and he gave me a speech. Like, man, I asked $2. You hand him $5, you ain't live with us. I never understood that. You just give him this, you give him that. At my post sale, I've asked you for something. I think I'm going to get a butt cut. I was like, man, this man ain't right. But then he sat me down one day and he said, let me explain something to you. He said, you got a roof over your head, you got food, you got clothes. You ain't got to worry about nothing. He said, them kids right there, when they go home, that little bit of money is all they might have in their pocket. And they have to work hard for a living. You out here picking up dummies and drinking, driving water back and forth, and you crying. And it made sense to me, and I understood it then that, okay, it must be something to this. And I got to know the players as a young kid. They pat me on the head, and they started believing in me. And I realized the coaching profession, it wasn't a lot of money in it, but man, all those kids loved him. I mean, Rainbow, that's Coach Rainbow. That's Coach Rainbow. Even the parents, we take the kids home on the bus and Coach Rainbow, you eat yet? Hold on, let me get you something to eat. You got Nate with you. Nate, you ain't eat yet. Let me get you something. I mean, these were parents. I mean, they didn't have a lot of money, but they made sure that we had food and we had little snacks, and they did that. And that made an impact on me. Then I messed around and went off to college at South Carolina State. That's why I saw Buddy Pugh and all them acting crazy.
That's when you got. That's when you got ruined.
Yeah, man. And then, good, what is his name? Sam Goodwin. Boy, don't cheat your body. You can get up in there and work. It had to be working like crazy in the weight room. Yeah, that's the only thing I remember about Coach Goodwin. Don't cheat your body. But that man taught me weight training. He taught me what you actually going to do in the weight room. And they were Clark Rock Carson and old Ben Blacknall. And them fellas, they coached me in wrestling. And look at him. Clark Rock didn't play. But he was one of the few people that trust me with his Cadillac. Pick up his wife and bring him back. I thought I that Cadillac, Coach Carson, cut right here. But those guys made an impact. And Coach Jeffries used to come by the house all the time and talk with Rainbow when they talk football. And I'd watch him in the culture, on the film. And I watch Rainbow after the game. He come in there and he put the film on, on after Friday night. He's got the film running. Saturday, he got the film running. Sunday, he going to Myrtle Beach for, getting ready for the game. And it taught me a lot. It taught me, it taught me that, those kids, the impact that he had on those kids was unreal. And I wanted some of that. So, and then when I got to college and those guys, those little things I learned from them, like Coach Buddy and Coach Jeffries, Coach Cartwright Carson, they all had a role to play in me getting to where I am. I mean, it's crazy, but it's true. And the last one that really impacted me was when I was getting ready to play again, the one you mentioned right down in Georgetown County. That coach, man, he was unreal. I mean, he came up to Carmel, when it was Whittemore then. He come up there, and that man looked bigger than life. And he had a great team with Howard, and they could come and play, and they beat us to death. He was always a smiling man, a nice guy. So actually, I got in coaching because of my brother-in-law. Wasn't for him, I don't think I'd been in coaching.
Each one of you has that unique thing, but it seems like there's always somebody, that one person that kind of influenced you to go do this great things. Many guys over the years have I'll use Buddy for an example. The first time I heard about Buddy, I was traveling through. I was coming back from Dallas, and it was the Christmas holidays and everything, and you had just won the state championship at Fairfield, and we were. I didn't see you, but I saw your fans, and they were talking about this thing called the wing tee, back then. And when I finally got to where I was going, I started hearing more and more about this wing tee because I never heard of it. I didn't know nothing about the wing tee. And then it all came with Buddy. The question I'm getting to is that how many of you have changed what you do over the years to get to the success? Anyone, you can start, and then I'll go from there.
I can start, guys. Can you? All right. Let's see if I can make this thing work here. I'm trying to get close up. But now, I was at Keenan High School in Columbia, and I had the worst football team in the history of Keenan football. And I had to figure it out. So I was running a variation of the wing tee at that time. I didn't really run the wing tee. And so from that point, I had a choice to either figure out how to be better offensively or to get a job doing something else, because I was pretty much at the end of my rope. And so I got out and went to one of these wing tee clinics. This guy, trying to think what his name was. It's been so daggone long ago now. But he put on wing tee clinics all over the country, and it was tough. It was tough offensive approach that he was teaching. And of course, Coach Eddie Robinson ran a similar offense. But the only reason why Coach ran the wing T was he was just trying to give his receivers some rest. Because after that, he just dropped back and threw it around all over the lot. He could, he it. But I go from being a 1-10 coach at Keenan High School to being maybe a 6-5 or something like that the next year. But each year, my offense has got progressively better. And from that point, then I kind of got into the society. There was a wing T group of guys around Columbia. Bill Kemper, one of it, Charlie Macaluso, Mickey Pringle was involved a good bit. I'm just thinking about some of the guys that were coaching around time who were running the wing T. And, they didn't want to let you in on that. It was one of those kind of deals, but it felt like they had a little special kind of nugget. And they finally let try to get an opportunity to try to bounce ideas off of. And I went from there, Keenan, for where we actually had some really good teams in Fairfield, where we had some good teams, where we had a bunch of, where we had a good mixture of kids. And at that point, then that's what made the difference in my success was the fact that I was a regular eye guy throwing around a little bit to a wing guy.
And now you are basically today run and gun or whatever you call that thing now.
Well, I had to. You got to recruit.
Yeah.
College football players running the option style offense. John Johnson, the head coach of Georgia Tech, a couple of years. That was such a good football coach, but in that was not attractive. So, it's not the fact that the and the football not still effective. The fact that you playing that stuff. They want to be at the next level. They don't want to practice again. They want to run. Mm-hmm. So you got to kind of jump into up in the modern day football spread. Multiple in order to get stuff good players that want to come.
Okay, who want to jump in next?
Well, I've basically always ran some variation of the Pro I. Been very fortunate to be around some great tailbacks in my time. Wesley McFadden, Mike Barber, Sheldon Brown, Deshaun Baker. We've had some great tailbacks who could carry the ball. And, we evolved. We would throw it. And the years where we didn't have that great quality running back, we'd go with 3 wide, 4 wide sometimes, empty sometimes. But basically, we still were going to run the football. Mm-hmm. To me, teams that run the football still win majority of games. Too many things can happen when you throw that thing and throw it regular. I got accused, Coach Mack, you don't ever pass. I said, man, we pass that thing 25, 30 times a game. You don't. I pass it right back to the tailback on the pitch. So, and then too, you adjust your team with the personnel you have, because if you don't have people who can catch it, why are you gonna be throwing it 40 times a game? And if you've got little scrawny people up front, you better find something else to do. People load up and kill you. Mm-hmm. But I guess basically over the years, I'm still running again, football.
But Leonard,
yeah.
It's still the same. People don't necessarily run the way anymore. The power that we run, the ISO that we run, it's a little bit of a different animal. But the rest of the same stuff that we ran.
We still got to work on that mic. Yeah, we'll get it right. We'll get it right.
Can you email me?
I'm sorry?
Can you email me?
Yeah. Give me your email address.
It's OPU.
Or text it to me. Text it to me.
All right. Can I text
Okay. What about you, Nate?
Well, when I first got into being a head coach, I came from a school, big school, and I thought we'd go down there to Choppy and Harvest Bay, and I was going to run.
Somebody has somebody in the background talking.
Oh, I don't know who that is. Well, anyway, I started trying to run the eye. Found out, I ain't had the people or the personnel. Plus, I was getting my butt tore up. I said, man, I got to do something else. So I messed around. I said, look here. I went to the Wishbone Clinic and went to the Wishbone. Somebody look in. If you want to keep the game close and you don't want to give the other team the ball, you better run the Wishbone. And I got in and running the bump. And it made, because my kids, they were aggressive, so I made them aggressive up front, and we were aggressive coming out the backfield. Had good little, I'm lucky enough to have some good quarterbacks that could run. Well, as time went on, I realized, I said, well, okay, Coach Kennedy, did you like me? When you gonna throw the ball? Y'all? 3 yards in a cloud of dust. I'm like, hey, we ain't getting killed. So I said, all right, I'll tell you what I did. That's when somebody came out with the shotgun. I said, we can't run that right there. No, we won't run the ball. So I said, we're gonna look like a shotgun. We're gonna drop back. We still got a back there. We're gonna run the pistol. And we ran the option. We run the option, trap, ISO, everything. I found out, okay, I can run this pistol to spread everybody out. I spread them out and get twins over here and split over here. They're going to honor that thing, and I'm going to throw it every now and then real quick to make them think I'm going to throw the ball. But I'm like you. I might throw it 5 times, but I'm going to run it 25.
That's right.
And we were pretty successful. We spread people out. We hit the little quick stuff, out of that, out of the formation that we had. We did a lot of formations on people. But mainly we ran the ball. But basically we throw little quick, passes, the short passes out there. We throw that. It worked out pretty good. And sometimes I always tell us that you got to remember now what you draw up on the board. You better make sure your chair can run it. We ain't got no road scholars out there, bro. So you learn real fast. To keep it simple. But, give the kids a chance enough on offense to be really aggressive, so that the pistol turned out to be a pretty good thing for us, with good quarterback. We can run traps with that quarterback. We can throw quick passes with it. We can get on the edge, and, the pitches are there. So it made a difference with us. So, we evolved from the eye to the wishbone, to the pistol.
What about you, Darryl?
I'll tell you what, listen to all you guys talk about running the ball. I was just the opposite. I came out of Orangeburg to Florence in 1993. And at the time, we were pro-I team, fullback, tailback. We were running that ball, running the toss, the ISO, same via. And we played a game, I think it might have been my second or third game. We were playing Mayo. Mayo was still Mayo in Darryl. And Darryl Harrison, and every one of us know Get Low, was the head coach there. And we got down late in the game, had an opportunity. We were down, I'll never forget, we were down 14-10. And got inside the 10 and couldn't knock it in. We weren't good enough up front at the time to knock it in. I said, we can't keep doing this. But I had a quarterback here named Craig James. He played at South Carolina State. He's a successful chiropractor down in Florida now. And he could throw that football. And I had about 4 little guys at wide receiver. None of them taller than 5'8", 5'9". And the one thing I could teach him the pass block. You get in the way. And man, we spread that thing out. And this was the middle of my first year. We spread that thing out. And at the time, it was almost like Chinese. Nobody was doing it like that. And found out that, hey, I got some kids who can run and some kids who can catch. And figured out quick enough to get it out of his hands quick. And that's kind of what we evolved into for a long time. And then I got smart enough as a coach to realize you better put your best athletes on defense. And once we got a defense, man, I mean, we could score. And if nothing else, we were must-see TV. Either you coming there to watch the air raid fireworks, and you gonna come tell me how I could y'all never run the ball, coach. Y'all never run the ball. But we winning. So that's kind of how my thing evolved as far as I was a big thrower. And now listen to what Benny's saying and Nate's saying now at West Florence. Man, we run that ball. That's what we do. And listen to what Buddy was saying. Power read, if I knew anything about power read 20 years ago, man, that's all I would run. That's all I would run. It is that good of a play. And for us to win where I'm at now, we got to be able to run the ball, control the clock, control the tempo. And at the end of the game, if you got more points than the other guys, that's the whole idea. Mm-hmm. Putting your kids in position to be successful. Right. You know, it's not how much football we know, it's how much football we can teach them. And once you get to that point where you're teaching them football, now you can, you like I think Nate said, you got to, Benny said, one of you two said, you got to fit what you do to what your kids can do. You know, all these guys now just came out of 7-on-7 today. Everybody want to spread the ball, spread it from one side of the field to the other. We jumped in there with a tight end today, and man, cats didn't even know how to line up against the tight end, because they don't see that. But it goes back, like you're saying, just common sense, what your kids can do. And as you coach, and all of us have coached a long time, we had to evolve. So you learn, you constantly learn. And if you're not learning, you're doing a disservice to your kids. So that's how I got more into the spread thing more than anything else.
What about you, Tony?
Well, in high school, we was single wing. I was a big fullback single wing. Notre Dame box, whatever.
I didn't know that.
So that's what we ran. So then going on to college, so I had wing T. That's wing T blood, But my first actual coaching job was under Donnie Woolsey, who was at North High School, and he evolved from what's his name, Doug Bennett up there in Swansea. Mm-hmm. So we were wing T, straight wing T, just like Buddy was talking about. We went to wing T clinics and we ran wing T till the cows came home, and we only had about 3 or 4 passing plays out of that thing. But you talking about change, yeah, you almost gotta change with time according to your personnel. We go up there with that wing T mentality and doing 7-on-7 against Darryl, and Darryl hollering out, high low. I'm like, what the hell is he talking about? So I immediately had to find out, how to get the ball to those guys, because everybody, we running the wing T, everybody loading up the box. In fact, during that time, there were clinics strictly how to stop the wing T. So we immediately had to, and then you got these kids, you got these basketball style kids. If you get 3 or 4 of them on the field, they can jump, they can catch, and they know how to gauge in catching that ball. So you got to get those kids the ball, get it in their hands. Defensively, we put 8 in the box. 8 in the box. We got an 8-man front. Give me a split. But then, just like Coach said, you got those 4 wides. You better try to change your defense. So, depending on your personnel, you're gonna have to change. I mean, if we got them itty bitty guys up front, obviously we can't run the hammer. I tried to run the hammer. Coach, I'm looking at your scheme. I said, shoot, we can run that hammer. But shoot, when we got 165-pound linemen up there, it just don't add up. So, according to your personnel, obviously, that's what you got to do. You got to change with the personnel. Defensively, we going to send them You know, I could take that little guy and send him. You know, I just can't load them up in the box, but I can take those guys and send them coming from the safety position or however from the corner position. You know, we're gonna blitz them every time. But you know, according to your personnel, of course, you gonna have to change. You're gonna have to change.
I asked each individual coach when I interview them on here, but I ask you this: what is over the years? You know, we all have put in about 35, 50 years into this thing. What has been your greatest challenges? And I'll start with Nate. What has been your greatest challenges over the years?
Probably my greatest challenge is like I always tell people, you know, you don't win on the drawing board. You know, you don't win with X's and O's. You win with Jimmy and Joe's. And through you have to sort of keep your kids excited about football. At the same time, you know, back then, if you gave them a T-shirt or you gave them some shorts, that was big news. Nowadays, it's entirely different. Kids want more than that. You know, you got to dress them up for 7-on-7, and you got to make sure that they got this type of jersey and that type of jersey. And you know, the biggest challenge that I've had is not necessarily the football field; it's the financial field. You know, because you want to try to do the best you can for your kids. And you're talking about when you're in the 1A and 2A level, you doing your own fields. You know, you getting your own equipment ready. You got to buy that equipment. You got to do a bunch of fundraisers. You got to do things that normally you don't think about as a football coach, but it comes into play because you got to take care of your kids. And at the same time, you got to take care of your coaches. You got to try to hold on to your coaches and give your coaches some responsibilities that help them grow. And a lot of times you got to get, my biggest proudest moment is watching my coaches leave me. I hate it. Trust me, I hate it, but I love it when they go off to get a head coaching job. But one of my hardest things to do, more so than the Jimmys and Joes, is just that financial part of it, of trying to make sure my kids get what other kids have and getting out there and trying to raise that money. Because, you know, like my man said, you got to be like a little preacher sometimes. You got to go out there, you got to beg, borrow, whatever you can do. And sometimes you have to ask for forgiveness other than permission so you can order something. You know, it's tough. So to me, that's been my hardest thing.
You want to jump in?
I think right now, because I think our Buddy's still active, and of course Nate's still active. I'm still active. The biggest thing you're dealing with right now are the people that are raising the kids that you are working with now. That's big now, and I said it before, I guess, because one, as an older educator, people aren't raising their kids anymore. You know, growing up, my mom and daddy, they told me what I was going to do. It wasn't the other way around. And now it's more like I want to be my kid's friend. Mm-hmm. And somewhere in life, you're going to learn that sooner or later, somebody's going to tell you no. Somebody's going to tell you no. And how you deal with it say a lot about you. And now with social media, I want my son to do this. I want my son to do that. He need to be doing this. Why y'all not doing that? Ma'am, sir, your son's name ain't on the side of this helmet. Yeah? It's not. And you see that now, if it's not, you know, kids are not about the team. They seem to be more about themselves, the individual. And all of us are individual coaches, but there's somebody along the way that helped us. You know, I can look right here on this camera. Every one of you helped me in one way or another. That goes to show you how it goes. Buddy recruited me out of high school.
Attempted to.
Yeah. And that's the thing, man. You look back, somebody's got to help you do something. And kids now don't seem to want to embrace the we thing.
Are you talking about the kids, or are you talking about the young coaches, all coaches, old coaches, because some of us never grow up? Which one are you referring to?
I'm referring to the people that are raising the kids that we're out there coaching now.
Talking about mamas and daddies.
Mama and daddy.
Okay.
And you say whatever you want to. And Nate said that coaching now is totally different than it was when I first started. Definitely when you guys first started. Man, you say something to a kid now, bro, you legit. I thank God I'm retired on paper. I thank God I'm retired on paper. So many if they come to get me, I go get in my truck and go home now.
There you go.
It's like that now, you know? And you picking on my kid. No, ain't nobody picking on your kid. Somebody trying to help you with your kid. And the young coaches now, they have to deal with that. And that's one good thing about being an assistant now. When things go wrong, I can do this. Go see him. I'm going to sit down.
What about you, Benny?
I agree with Darryl. Just about hit that thing on the head, man, because parents nowadays, they're not all parents. I'll give you a classic example. Back when, and I'll never forget this, when Bobby Knight was going out and he was having all kind of problems, more or less, reporter interviewed him one day and he said, well, Coach Knight, you're a dinosaur. You've been doing this thing forever. And I said, what's one of the biggest changes you've seen in the last few years? And instantaneously, he said, parents. Parents have changed. Just like Coach Page said, you got kids raising kids. They don't know how to talk to their children. They don't know how to be parents for their children. Fortunately, when my last few years, I could sense it's coming because I could just about, I did it. Undress a kid on the field and tell him his whole biological history. And nothing was said. Nothing was said. With me, if Coach Mack wasn't giving you hell sometime, you might as well turn your uniform in. There's nothing you can do because everybody looked forward to Coach Mack getting on them at one time or another. I always gave each player a nickname. And this social media is the ruination.
Yeah.
I think it might have been Buddy said it earlier about everything we do is on camera. Classic example. We were trying to run the veer at practice, and starting quarterback, God dang it, he just screwing it up. And Coach Mack in his calm voice, get him the hell out of here. You know what the hell? We bring the second string quarterback in there. He did the same thing. I got shit 1 and shit 2 for quarterbacks. I didn't know shit 2's mama was on the fence with her phone. True story. I go in the next morning. I get a call. Coach Matt, I'm Dr. Keenan's office. Oh, what the hell now? So when I walked in the door, he didn't even speak. The first thing he said, Coach Mack, I want to know, do we have a shit 1 and a shit 2 on the football? Before I could explain that it's just a term of endearment. Well, we don't anymore. Have a good day. So social media, guys, it's hell. It's been hell. But parents, like Darryl said, you still got some good kids. Now, don't get me wrong. They buy into the program. They buy into it. They give you everything they got. And with some, what have you done for me lately? That's their motto. What have you done for me lately?
Did we get to you, Tony?
Well, I kind of the same thing. Social media and parents and huddle. A kid could amp up the whole, amp up 25 plays, have 2 good plays, you put them on huddle, and then he want me to call Coach Pough and try to get and then y'all ever heard of a PWO? Can I get what the hell is a PWO? He want a preferred walk-on. Out of 3 plays, out of the damn, 100 plays we done ran, You know, they'll put that thing, social media. There you go, social media. And like you say, you got to be careful what you say around the kids, because they'll take it to the administration, and they'll make something out of it if you ain't got the support of the administration, or a parent will take it and try to use it against you. So you got to be careful with that. I mean, those have been the biggest challenge. And man, I tell you what, these last 3 years with this COVID and dealing with that, as a teacher, you're doing everything virtually. You got all kind of restrictions you got to do. You got to, check the temperatures. And like Nate was saying, in a 1- and 2-way school where you ain't got a trainer, where the head coach got to do that. So, that's been a great challenge with this thing, especially these last couple of years.
Do y'all think that because of the issues that we're having today, and I'm talking black, white, pink, green, doesn't matter to me, because of the undiscipline that we see now, and these guys have taken it to the nth degree, where we're killing each other, the gun, has that hard discipline hurt us now? The lack of hard discipline we had back then to today, where we can't even say boo to them, has that hurt us now?
In a way, it has. We like I said, back then, there was no cell phone. Okay, you didn't go out there to get you a car at 15, 16-year-old. You didn't give them a car. Okay, they didn't have. Where they get on computer. They got the computer at home. They got all these games at home. And these things are now their influences, not more so less than us. We only have them, if we're lucky, 2 to 2.5 hours of practice per day. Okay. And so back in the day where the parents would come and the parents would support you, those kids come now and like Coach Page said, it ain't about the team no more with them. It's all about things, like Coach Felder said, they cut out what they want to cut out and do what they want to do. And I was lucky enough, and then this happened, and tell you sometimes how things go. Like I said, I came back to Conway High School. I've been gone for 20 years. And I went down to they had me in the weight room, and kid came in there. He came in there with them, flip-flop shoes, something we call them gators or whatever. I said, "Boo, get out of my weight room and get your butt into some sneakers, or you get one of my weight shoes, but you ain't coming in here with them things down." I said, "I don't care who you tell, you get on out of here." So the assistant principal 2 days later came down and she said, she's a coach, I got to talk to you. So you got to talk to me about it. So what's up? What happened? He said, "Well, that kid you jumped on, man, and told him he had to get out your class with them things on and everything." He went back. This parent called me. As the parent called you, yeah, I said, "Well, everything all right?" She said, "Well, let me tell you something. When that parent called me, they was hot. And the parent want to know who was that teacher, because he want to meet that teacher." And the young lady who's assistant principal said, "Well, that's Coach Thompson." And it went quiet on the other end. Come to find out, the kid parent, I coached him in football. He said, "Oh, that was Coach Thompson. Don't worry about it." He hung up. She said, "I couldn't believe it." She ran down to my office. "I got to tell you this." She said, as soon as I said Coach Thompson, he said, "Oh, don't worry about it. He'll be all right. I'll make sure he got some shoes." But see, that's the influence I had on the dad that came along. But see, the kid-wise, he looked at it in a whole new view. Hey, he ain't gonna tell me what to do. I do so and so. And this is why you say, this is something that one time, you had the parents had your back, the administration had your back. And as long as you took care of your kids and you worked with them hard, they worked out well. The community worked with you. But now, any little thing to jump off, like I said, social media is crazy. It's nothing for somebody to be filming you. It's nothing for kids to be filming you at a meeting. It's nothing for kids to be in the hallway with a camera filming you, even in your classrooms. So, when you're on that field and you're getting out there and you're trying to get kids' attention, like Coach Murray said, I used to tell kids too, look here, if I'm not fussing at you, you can't play for me. Because if I'm fussing at you, that means you on the field getting some playing time. I don't feel sitting on the bench. So those are things that I think that, with today's society, this contributes a lot to it. Because now kids, they're isolated. They become their own little world. Now when they come their own little world, things happen. They go on their own little tangents, and when you find kids out there on their own little tangents, not involved in any type of sport, and because sports kind of bring around friends, but no, he has no friends. So when he has no friends, he become that guy that you don't want to be around. He don't want to be around you. So you're gonna have that problem in there. So I think that yes, a lot of things that's happening with young people today is because there is no direction. I mean, there was, they're not involved into team things that are a team concept that tell them, say, hey, everybody kick in, everybody work together. This is discipline. This is how we have to do things. We have to learn to work together as a group, not as an individual. And those things are beginning to be missing now because kids now, they just, they want to get into their own little world.
I know a couple of communities have had some issues with gunfire. Down here in the Somerton area, we just had our touch of it where we had a mother killed, and 6 little souls got shot. 6 or 7 souls got shot. You look at the Philadelphia issue. You look at the Pough babies in Uvalde. What are we going to do to get to these kids' heads? That's not the way. We have to get them to learn how to control their emotions. What role do we play in that?
Hey, Coach, I'm just chime in. Everything today, all the rappers got the gangster mentality. I know when I was coming up, if they told me my mama would threaten me by going to John G. Remember John G at the time? I mean, if you don't do right, you going to John G. And that was the Department of Youth Services. So coming up, I was death scared of going to the reform school. But these kids now, man, that's a trophy. That's a trophy. I mean, they don't care nothing about going to jail now. And the movies that they watch, gangster mentality, a lot of the rappers, I mean, they doing the same thing. And then your ex-president, sent out the Pride Boys, you can almost do anything, get away with it. So, man, I mean, these kids, they got access to these guns. Shoot, you can get a gun easier than you can go and buy a can of beer. And so this is out there, and we can't turn a blind eye and say it's not. So we as coaches with our kids, I mean, Coach, one of your kids got shot down there in Myrtle Beach, right? Did you coach him from Wilson?
Yeah.
No, I knew the kids. The funny thing, when you said that, Tony, I taught the kid that got killed. I taught his mother,
right,
at Wilson, and he had a bright future. And you had a kid from South Florence that was killed down at the beach a month before that. So we've had 2 killings right here in the Florence area, probably in the last month.
Yeah, well, when I thought about with the Scotch Branch community, the first thing I thought about was, Tommy Leonard, Riley Jackson, all those guys got, Scotch Branch ties. And I mean, we just got to talk about it. We got to let our young guys know. I teach driver's ed, and I let them know, man, hey, if you get stopped, here's what you're supposed to do. I think, this is something that we gotta let them know that carrying them guns ain't the answer.
But you ask yourself too, Tony, are these coaches now that they have in front of them, are you reminding these kids that every day? Because you think about all of us that led a circle, them boys on their knees, and they looking up at us.
Yeah.
A lot of times what we tell them, that might be the only thing they hear, man. And
that's true.
Are these coaches not just strictly addressing football? Football is what you do. Football is not who you are.
Yeah.
I'm for you to come back to me 20, 25 years later and you got your son, and are you addressing these issues with them? If you're not, who's talking to them? Because they listen to somebody.
It can't be. It just can't be just X's and O's. And I think that's what differentiates some of these guys in the past from what we're dealing with right now. You can't put X's and O's before a human being. I mean, you can run any old stupid system, but we trying to. To me, this is how I lived my life when I was coaching. We had to live our life by growing men, teaching them those values, making sure we get that tough love, and learning how to take the candy away. If you don't follow these simple rules, because when you get to life, you're going to have rules you got to follow. And if you can't follow these little rules right there, you're going to have some issues in life. I see you looking intently there, Tommy. Go ahead.
Well, I am, I have been a disciplinarian all my life. That's all I know. And basically, I agree. But we got to realize that nobody's parenting anymore. And that's a problem. And like you said, a lot of these young coaches, you can't blame them because society says you got to win. Winning is everything. So a lot of times the young coaches feel like they have to be their friends or they won't get the great athletes to stay out there. So, that discipline kind of goes out the door because I want to make sure he stay on the field and perform. And it's a hard line between that discipline and whether you're going to keep a player. That's why I respect Alabama, who take the best athletes, but the program is run the way he wants it to run. Mm-hmm. There's a standard there. And if you can't meet that standard, he doesn't care how good you are. You got to go. And I think we've gotten away from that because that pressure to win is so great. We realize, okay, I better not do that because I'm, they say I'm cutting my nose off in spite of my face. And I'm going to lose a game because I lose that great athlete. But, I'm at Allen University, and I'm one of the oldest coaches there. And my head coach will tell you I am on truly no nonsense, and I hadn't changed any. And I see a lot of kids from different programs, and they look at me like I'm totally crazy because, I walk that walk all the time about discipline. The simple thing about taking your hat on as you come in the building. So that's important. And I think because the parents are not parenting, we have to step in that gap and be that parent. And even at college level, we still have to step in that gap. And until we do that, then I think it's going to continue to be tough for us to haul our young men back in where we need to be. Like you said, Darryl, how many coaches are sitting there and say, hey, look, we got to do the right thing all the time, not just because you're on the field. And that goes in the classroom, that goes at home. And here again, how many of them go to church anymore? Where's that part of their life? And that's always been a part of all our lives. And that's gone away from them. And we have to bring that back because basically, what is that?
When I say we, I'm talking about us. And, everything that's been said has been super. We got to find a way to get to these kids and basically by the time they get to elementary school or junior high, we're talking about they're on the opposite end. We got to find a way to get to them real early and get that instilled back in them. Uh, I'm sure, like most of y'all, one of the biggest thrill I still get is when a former player will come up and say, "You know, Coach, I appreciate what you did for me. You taught me how to be a man, how to grow up, how to be, I had a motto. I don't give a rat's ass what color you are, black, white, polka dot, Jew, Gentile, Muslim, whatever. I play to win, but I'm gonna treat everybody fair.
Yeah.
None of us had a problem with putting little Sammy at who can't walk and chew chewing gum. If he screw up, we lower the boom on him. And like you said, Tommy, do you cut your nose off to spite your face when that stud do something wrong? But trust me, the other players on the team are watching it. Coach Brown let Malik get away with everything just because he's a star. As good as Sheldon Brown was, 9 years in the NFL, everything. I benched him homecoming his senior year. He didn't even touch the field. We touched the field once. And it was as simple as back then we had the flak jackets. And he always said his didn't feel good. I mean, I don't care what it feel like. You my stud thoroughbred. You going to ride you to the Kentucky Derby. So he decided not to wear it to practice. And I didn't know, but a player told on him because they know that was one of my standing rules. Receivers, running backs, y'all going to put on everything you got for protection. So in the middle of practice, I blew the whistle, made everybody stand up, pull the jerseys up. We're going to have an inspection check. Sure enough, Shelton and two others didn't have their flak jackets on. I sent them off the field. Get out of here. Go home. Get off the field. And that Friday night, he'd never touched the field. He came out one time. Now, trust me now, it was homecoming. And, everybody play a cupcake on homecoming. Now, let's face it. But we were up pretty big, and I was playing everybody. I was getting JV players out the bleachers to go get dressed to just keep playing all the things we're doing. Fullback dive, fullback dive, fullback. But anyway, we came to a fourth down, and he was the punter. So, punting team. So he put on his helmet and started running on the field. And I don't know what was it in the back of my mind. I grabbed him by the back of the collar, and I said, now, if you fake punt it and run it, I'm going to kick your butt off the football team. Now, this young Brown always stayed with it.
I'm going to call his ass.
So, he went out and punted it. After the game, everybody's shaking hands. He wasn't going to shake hands. He was going to walk straight across the field. And I snatched him up and made him shake hands. So he told me that taught him a valuable lesson, that there's no I in team. He told me that. And today we have that love. It's not a love-hate relationship because I'm on his board, his foundation, and I love him to death. But it's something like that makes the job we do stand out. When those kids come back, Coach, man, I appreciate you. I love you for what you did. It's tough, and that's why I said I admire you guys still blowing the whistle. Man, I admire you. You got a hell of a job to do. And we need to start working on our young men, them young black boys. We got to keep them because we're losing them too much to the streets, guys.
Yeah. Buddy.
Hey, can y'all hear me out there now?
Yeah, we got you.
Well, good.
Buddy.
Yeah.
Buddy, you get our products.
I do. And I can tell you, I got coaches now with dreadlocks. So now you start talking about the difference in where we were, years. I'm looking at all you guys, everybody clean cut. I know you guys are all gentlemen, church sparing, going to church, all kind of good kind of stuff, guys. And, I have to think sometimes, what I'm dealing with not only with my players, but my coaches. But, it is what it is. We deal with the circumstances as we find them. I can tell you, though, that I still believe in these guys, and the guys with sense gonna have sense. That's just kind of how it works. And the guys that you don't necessarily know, exactly, how to make them do what you want them to do. Sometimes you try to figure it out. That guy is that same guy. So, it's not much different. I'm telling you guys than it was in the past. You got some different caveats, so you may add some different parts to the equation. The technology in, the video in, once upon a time, I never saw myself on a practice page, in practice, ever on film. And when you start talking about the kinds of ways that these kids have opportunity, the way these kids are coached, and all other things that are going on in their lives, makes it such that that they get a better opportunity than we had. And they ought to take. I beat them up about the fact that they ought to be appreciative, of such, because they get a lot of chance to do a lot of stuff I ain't never had a chance to do. And as a player, I'm talking about. So I think those guys are kind of sort of understand it, but at the same time, we talk about this is the last step before they actually go in somewhere to go to work. And you actually got to get in these classes and figure out how to do something that you can convince somebody out there that you can do better than the rest of them guys out there that they can hire, so that you can make a living. You got to actually earn your keep out there on the job. When Darryl came to work at OW, the reason why we hired Darryl is because we thought he was the best offensive line guy out there, and there was competition for that spot. And there's competition for all, just like you on the depth chart here at South Carolina State trying to play. There's a depth chart out there for you trying to get a job. And the NFL ain't gonna be there. I mean, they're gonna be there for a couple guys. The Darius Leonards of the world. You talk about Sheldon Bennett. And let me tell you what, it took me a while. I got everybody up now where I can see him. I couldn't see him all on my phone. So I didn't know who the hell was I. I couldn't see. Nate, as y'all were talking, I was trying to figure out who was who. But Darryl, Benny, Tony, Leonard, Tommy, Nate, I think that's it. Who is this right here? Down on the bottom right hand corner with the feet. That's got to be. I don't know who the hell that is. Tommy, Leonard, Darryl Page.
Oh, no. That's a picture. That's a background picture.
Yeah, that's just a background. Okay, but
you don't recognize the hammer strut.
But how many of y'all? I got a damn coat. How many of y'all have found? Excuse me, guys. That this pandemic deal has created a sense of us having to learn to communicate with our parents differently than we ever had before. So we talking all the time with parent groups. I got position groups talking to parents. I got sides of the ball talking, and then we got administrators, our trainers, staff, all those kind of people, and vaccinations. There's so many things going on in the game today that way until it's almost more than you can fathom keeping up with. Dealing with the pandemic and all the things and these kids got all that kind of, and the quarantine guys away from home. When a guy is found to test positive, and then he's got to go away and stay away someplace for a week or 10 days away from anybody, guys. And we deal with that. So there's so many different kinds of odds and ends things that I had stacked up on my mind. I want to kind of just at least kind of touch on. As we deal with, but the bottom line is, regardless how you get to it, I'm telling you, these still good kids. Now, they got more to deal with. They got more good opportunities, but they got more stuff that they get a chance to be a part of that, that ain't good either. I mean, the drug stuff, the guns, okay. We bring every kind of body in you can think of police-wise. We bring we bring Sled in here. We bring Control in here. You saw it scared the hell out of me when damn fools stopped that bus down below Savannah and pull all the stuff off on that bus. Let me tell you something. It never dawned on me that somebody didn't have something on that bus when them dogs start sniffing around. That that you're gonna have. Can you imagine? Now, if that becomes a regular practice, that these guys start doing that kind of mess, So, there's all kinds of stuff out here that these guys are dealing with, have to deal with it, that we never fathomed, never thought about having to deal with. So let's face it, yes, I hear all the time, these guys, these kids over there, they got their issues too. They got some hell of a problem. We didn't have shoot 'em up. People come to school and kill everybody. I never heard of such. I still can't quite, get my, complete understanding around what the heck makes a guy do what he does when he does that kind of deal. So, yeah, you're right. They are different, but they aren't all that much different. They're just having different. They got different circumstances.
Let me change ties here for a minute. Not sure. We're not sure we can get time. What guy comes to you want to go to work? Want to go to work with you? What are you looking for when you look to hire somebody? What qualities are you looking for? Anybody can take it first.
Well, the first thing I think about is loyalty. Are you going to be loyal to the program? I ain't worried about you being loyal to me. You be loyal to the program. In other words, because what we do and how our meeting, you're going to be in privy to everything and anything that we do in football in our program. You're going to be privy to, and the community going to be asking you things, especially when things get rough. Are you going to be that guy that well, let me get this monkey off my back and put it on them? Because loyalty goes a long way. So, my first thing when I was hiring a guy, I said, hey, are you going to be loyal to the program? Because there's a lot of things going to come at you. And are you going to stand up for the program, or are you going to stand up for yourself? Because it's going to come to that sooner or later. This parent going to be on the field raising Cain or why my child not playing. Or your parent going to be, oh, that coach don't like my child. Or, you're going to get that. You're going to have an administrator saying, you need to get rid of that guy. That guy don't do this or that. So I always tell them, when you come in, be loyal to the program. Because the program is what's bringing you in. The program is what's giving you a job. The program is letting you work around these kids and around these coaches.
Who's next?
Hey, my cell phone is not for people to get me, okay? It's for me to get your ass, okay? If you can, I'm looking for a guy who can put up with me, who we gonna be together for so many hours in a day until I'm looking. First off, the only reason why he even got an opportunity to sit down and talk with me about a job is because we've gotten some kind of connect between us that people who know him know me. I know his people. I know something about him that I know all the way back to maybe when he was a kid that, is the reason why I first get a chance to hire that guy. So when we hired Darryl here, we knew Darryl from way back. When I tried to hire Thomas, guys on this staff, on this screen, I've seen guys that we tried to hire from time to time. And it's always been about the fact that we had so much in common. Somebody need to mute their phone. And what happens is at that point, then you go about the task of seeing if the circumstances work. I may have a position that I want to give to a guy, and then the fact that the position has not really got the personnel in that position. I don't want to bring a guy in to coach the offensive line. I'm a little bit worried about him being an offensive line guy, not because he's not a good offensive line coach, but because we don't have the personnel at that point. Our offensive, and can he be the guy that can deal with, coaching a bunch of guys that ain't quite up to speed right now. So you got to have all kinds of understandings of the circumstances when you hire a guy. So every hire is different. When you start talking about why, what kind of characteristics, what kind of information on the resume, that kind of stuff that you use to make a hire. Most times every position is different. And when you hire a guy, it's mostly dealing with the circumstances at that particular time.
Who's next?
I did something and it got more so when I was spent my time at LR, and I was interviewing a guy. I don't know what made me do it one day. Came in, And the first thing he did, I had him do, was sit in my chair behind my desk. And I sat on the other side. Tell me what you want if you were hiring me. And put the emphasis on him. What would you want if you were sitting in my chair? And I asked him, I said, do you meet all those criteria? And it's funny, when you take that seat and you turn it around, you'd be surprised what come out of man's mouth. You'd be surprised what come out of man's mouth now. And when he's trying to get that job, but you put him in your seat and tell him, say, why should I hire you? What would you be looking for if you were hiring somebody? And can you bring that to the table? I can teach you football, but what are you bringing to the table? When I say that, when these kids see you, say for example, I as a coach, hey, I want to take a drink. Guess what? If I'm in a small town, big town, whatever, I can't go to the liquor store everybody else go to. What am I showing this kid? I'm not saying that I'm a saint, but what am I putting out there in front of him? What am I putting out there in front of him? And the thing that I think more so than anything else, especially for those of us who, if this was my kid, what would I want in front of him? And if you bring in that negative or whatever, and I don't have a good feeling about you, I don't care how much football you know. You're not a good fit for us, right? Because ultimately, all of us have had our names at the top of that paper. And what goes on in this program is going to be a positive reflection or a negative reflection on the man whose name is at the top. That's just what I believe,
I'm just good character. I'm just first thing I look for a good character.
Yeah.
And I'm just, and under that umbrella comes a whole lot. So I'm gonna just put it like that. Guy gotta have good character. As you said, we can teach him football. We do that all the time. There's clinics, be it virtually or we'll take a trip to the national conference. But guy gotta have good conference. We got to represent the program well.
Yeah.
Like what everybody else said, and is there some compatibility, with him and the staff, and basically, does he like kids? I mean,
Yeah.
If you don't have a likability for kids, I mean, because kids can do some things that take you to the limit, but you got to love the kids. There's old saying, kids don't care what you know as long as they know that you care. As long as them kids know you care about them, a person's got to be able to do that.
I go for that. Good point, Benny.
What about you, Tommy?
I'm like Buddy. Problem with it, will he be able to deal with me? I mean, that's the thing. Darryl tell you, hey, I'm gonna be the problem, because
especially if you're doing something that ain't quite working between us.
Exactly right. I place a high standard for a coach. I think that's very important. As has been said, he sets standard for everything that goes on in your program, and I think that he has to know what you're about and what you stand for. And I think a lot of cases I've hired a lot of coaches that play for me because of that, because of what I expect, and the guys that I've ended up working with, they realize what it's going to take. It's going to take that loyalty, that commitment, that love of not only the game, but love the kids, to teach them right or wrong all the time, not just about football. And basically, that standard has to be set. And like Darryl said, sitting in the other chair, a lot of coaches don't have that goal to want to be a head coach. And sometimes that's good to have somebody who desire that, because that means they're going to work a little harder. They're going to do a little bit more because they want to see everybody be successful, especially the kids. So, it's a standard that we got to set. And I think, it's enough experience in this room that has set that. And, it's just thing that we had to do, and we're just not getting enough of that, I think, in the young coaches. I really don't think we are.
Okay. Do you think we spend too much time relying on X's and O's instead of learning the ins and outs of building the program?
I think you're right. I messed around and talking to another kid from another school, and we were talking. I said, "Man, how you coaches?" Man, my coaches love us doing football season. After the season over, they hardly speak to us. Or rabbi. And I didn't, that never dawned on me. I said, "You kidding me?" He said, "No, coach." He said, "They love us football season. We get what we want. Football season over with. Coach might pass right by me. Don't even say a word." I said, "You kidding me?"
That's sad.
And it's sad, but that's actually happening in true life. Sure. And the school I went to Conway, I went back over to Conway to help them, and I'm out there in the hallway. Kids passing by. "Hey, how you doing? Hey, how you doing? You doing good this morning? Just speak it." And they were like, they hear me speaking like, "Ooh, that man, why he speaking to me like that?"
Yes.
I put a little fist bump out there, and we bump hands. Who he is. And half these kids, they don't even play football. But they come by my class. I'm out there in the hallway. I'm speaking to them. I'm fist bumping. Then one day, man, I didn't feel too good, but I went on out and I was standing there. And I noticed a kid came by and he stopped. He looked at me like, I said, "Oh, man, I forgot." He goes, "Okay." He's waiting on his fist bump. When you go out there and expose yourself to these kids and let them know that you're not afraid to speak to them, you're not afraid to be around them, it works. Like right now, you go to some schools, coaches don't even sit, or teachers don't even sit with the kids anymore at lunch. They go to their own little rooms. I mean, I sat down there one day and the kids looked at me like, "What are you doing?" I said, I had a conversation, but this is what I like to do. I want to hear what's going on. Sometimes that's good, and sometimes that's bad because you hear some stuff you don't need to hear. The idea that they get to the point that they see you, and now I go to the weight room, and weight room's not a threat. They in the weight room, they're ready to go. I got bottles of water I have in my refrigerator when we had COVID going on. Kids know I had water. Come on now, get your bottle of water. You have to reach out to them too a little bit, because a lot of kids, they want direction. They want people to say, "Hey, how I'm doing." Some kids might never get spoke to the whole day. Some kids might have just came home that morning. Mom and dad, or daddy or mama done cuss him out, and he rolled in school. You look at him, he ain't speaking to you either. But you say, "Hey, good morning." But he looks forward to that little bit of interaction. I think sometimes we lose that interaction, and we need to try to get that back. We need to be able to say, "Hey, what's on your mind? Just talk to me." Or "Hey, you having a good day?" They're human. But we as coaches, this is something that we used to kids being around us, and the young coaches got to understand it's okay to speak. It's okay to want to sit on the table and eat. It's okay. But it's really happening in these schools today. Like I said, everything kid be on the phone. He ain't looking at nobody. Next thing you look over there, the coach on the phone. He ain't looking at nobody. Like, what the heck? I'm old school. I'm saying, hey, put the phone down. Have a conversation. And I don't think we do that enough.
And Nate, I make them walk together. I make them sit together without their phones. And so about team meals and that kind of stuff, because I want them to have a conversation. I said, get to know your teammates, get to know your coaches, start learning how to build adult relationships. One of the things that college students got to really get a grip on is the fact that they're no longer going to be with the kids anymore, so they're going to go to the grown folk table, okay? And they got to go over there and they have to have an actual conversation, with their faculty, staff. And the one thing that you really got to be good at is communicating with your advisor, about stuff that you got to deal with as far as your academic curriculum and that kind of stuff is concerned. So, this is the time of life when they really transition between, then and there, and we've got to do a good job of making them understand that this is that part of their life where they got to move to the next stage that way.
Well, we're at that point where I had to put a mark on there, and we had the last part of it. And I'm gonna go around to each one of you. I'm gonna ask you two things. I always end the program with this. And the two questions I'm gonna ask you is, if you had an hour to spend with anybody in the world, 1 hour, not being a football coach, not football coach, who would that person be? And the second one would be the football coach that you would like to be with, spend an hour with. So who wants to go first?
The football coach I want to be.
No, you want to have the football coach that you want to spend an hour with.
Oh, okay.
Or the person in the world that you want to spend an hour with.
Yeah. So it can be. Oh, so this is the same person. All right. So it's just one person.
No, two different people. It could be the same person, but okay. One is non-football and the other one just a regular.
I got it.
Now, quick question: is it dead or alive or what?
Doesn't matter.
Okay.
Who wants to go first? All right. Now, don't let me go to the rule book now.
Yeah, I'm thinking about getting started here. I don't really, I'm torn between the people that I want to, that I really want to. I've had a chance to, two of the people that I've had a chance to be kind of thrown into a room together for long periods of time was Coach Jeffries. And I had Dick Sanders was my high school coach. This guy, was one of the top, coaches in the history of the game also. So
who's that now?
Dick Sheridan, the guy who was my high school head coach. So, I've been fortunate in a way where, I don't know exactly sometimes, how I was able to get thrown into, those situations that way. But if I had to, I might want to I talked to Charlie Strong a good bit about his last experience. He spent a year at Alabama. Somebody talked about Nick Saban and exactly how he went about handling his business. I thought that might be fun to have a chance to go and spend a year, an hour in this particular regard. Just
with Charlie.
Yeah, no, with Nick Saban, and I spent too much time with Charlie.
Why would you want to spend that hour with Nick Saban?
And the big reason is because he's been thought to have, the best grip on things as far as programs are concerned. The one thing that has been a little bit of a chink in his armor, he's had a lot of guys there recently. These guys in these cars driving fast, having their accidents, DUIs, that kind of stuff. He's had several of those there recently. But you know what? Once you put them out in the world, you got to kind of let them fly like they will. But and then if I had a chance to, I like to have. I thought Obama was a guy, and although he had one of the toughest presidencies, in the history of the first black president, he was a guy who ended up losing the Senate in the midterm, losing both the House and the Senate before he eventually ended up leaving, office. He couldn't hardly get anything through that way, but he still was able to fight through and get and get the a healthcare act done, Obamacare, and I just feel like this guy was the real deal as far as having an opportunity to be a part of a list of guys. 40, how many presidents we have now? Somewhere in the high 40s.
Mm-hmm. 45, 46, somewhere.
Is that what we have now? Mm-hmm. And for him to be, in that, just imagine from slavery to president. I mean, just that, shorter period of time. It was 17. yeah, Abraham Lincoln was what, number 16, 17, some of that neck of the woods.
Mhm.
So
16.
from that point to So if I had a choice to be in a room for an hour, my two people football wise would be Nick Saban, and regular person wise, a regular person would be President Obama.
Okay. Thank you, buddy. Who's next?
I'll take that. Football wise, I would say Bill Walsh.
Why?
Bill Walsh I think he was ahead of his time. When I say that, as far as the way he saw the game, the short passing game, that kind of thing. But I remember I bought his book, and now you go look on Amazon, the book's worth so much, where he kind of went through like 400 or 500 pages, where he kind of went through everything as far as how he built the 49er organization. I mean, from the top to the bottom, everything that you could possibly think of, he addressed in this book. And I've always been when he was there, I was a 49er fan because they were doing things different. They weren't just a power team, that kind of thing. He was doing things different. He was taking advantage of what his people could do. So I thought I still think he's one of the greatest coaches that's been out there. So football-wise would be Bill Walsh. And that's to echo on what Buddy said as far as the person that I would want to spend an hour with is Barack Obama because, man, like Buddy said, he was president, he's leader of the free world. And he more hell in the United States than any place else. And to have to deal with that and live under that kind of microscope for 8 years. Never any controversy about him, his family, his wife, none of that. And that, to me, just being able to deal with that every day and still try to run this country, I definitely like to I just want to hear what you got to say. So those would be my two.
Just a footnote. I was able to do what you did with Bill Walsh. I spent 2 hours with him in his office, locked in there for 2 hours with him. Back in the day, they used to do that NFL. What they do with these guys now, where they go to camp.
Mm-hmm.
Back when they first got started, they used to take the whole staff there, and we went to San Francisco, and for 2 hours I sat in that room and didn't talk anything about X's and O's. All we talked about was organizational skills, and I took that from that day to right now. So I live your dream.
Okay.
Who's next?
I'll jump in. Nick Saban, of course. He organization and just football mind, and he works his butt off. He just don't talk the game. I was down there with several camps, man, and for that little stipend, boy, you work your butt off. And Nick Saban actually flew into Manning, South Carolina, to recruit a kid. So he's the real deal when it comes to football and the X's and O's and just organization, period. And Steve Harvey, the real guy. Steve Harvey did some things. I like his style. He rich. I just like to take a page from his book and go his route.
All right. First time I've had Steve to come up. Who's next?
Well, I guess I'll go. I'm kind of torn between two people when it comes to coaching. One is Eddie Robinson, and I'd really, just love to sit down and have a conversation with him just about football and life and having to be one of the top, at that time, one of the top programs in the nation, black or white, and how you kept it at that level, for so many years. And also somebody like Jimmy Johnson. I've seen Jimmy Johnson from college into the pros and successful each step, and that says a lot. Not to mention his hair don't move. I don't know what that gel is. but from there, you know, those two guys really impressed me as coaches and holding the line and dealing with excellence. That if I had a chance to meet, you know, I probably would love to sit down with them. The regular person probably will be Dr. Martin Luther King. And the reason for that is about 2 days ago, I was sitting in the garage and, you know, I was on my phone and I heard the speech that he did at the Birmingham before he got shot. That speech, what he was talking about that night, it still resonates today. He was, if you take the time to listen to that, it moved me from a speech he did years and years ago. It affects us right now. It's like he knew that this situation was not going to be straightened out no time soon. And he said this speech, like I say, way back. And I'm sitting in my garage and I'm just focused on my phone and focused on him. I'd love to sit down and have a conversation and want to know how you survive all these things and all these people and all these big time law enforcement people coming at you. How did you survive all that up until that time before getting shot?
Football wise, I went big and small, more or less. I'm like you, Nate. I've seen him in action, Coach Robinson. I never forget last time I saw him when he came to play South Carolina State. I got a chance to shake his hand, but everybody was around him, so you know, just shake your hand and move on through the crowd. From a smaller standpoint, is one of our early pioneer black coaches, Coach Wales, Virgil. I didn't know. I knew him from the standpoint that when I first got out of school, I got into officiating before I got into coaching. And back then, we would go down to Mayo, and Coach would always be clean, have that hair, and then he looked like he would have spats in his pants. He'd put little things in his pants leg to make them wider. But his teams were always tough as nails, and he had a way of just getting on the guys, but they played like hell for him. I mean, they played for him. And this guy's not common by any means. Tyler Perry, the things he's done, he's still doing, and the amount of our people that he's giving jobs to and making their lives better and putting them in different standards of living. I just think he has done a fantastic job.
I think that leaves Tommy.
Oh, me? Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Well, you know, gentlemen, you know, one of the persons that, you know, as far as coach concerned, I've had some great mentors in my life. Coach Jeffries, Bill Davis, Larry Camel, Georgia.
Yeah.
But the one who really made an impact on me, I think, was Sam Goodwin, as far as, you know, about life skills after football. That has always been the most important part about having a coach and somebody I patterned my life is teaching life skills. You know, football uses the game of football to be able to achieve what you want to achieve, no matter what. So I thought Sam Goodwin and South Carolina State Coach Jeffrey set that tone for me in my life. And you know, being able to spend time with him, I spent a lot of time with his family, and basically spending time with him taught me a lot about what I want to do and how I, you know, want to focus my life, you know. And as far as a person, I totally agree. Obama, you know, for what he went through to be able to run a country like America the way it is and be able to maintain that composure. Wow. the only person I think that was even peaceful to him was Jesus, and Obama would do that to all, lose his composure, regardless of how people treated him and what people said about him. So, sit down and talk to him because I knew I couldn't have done it. So those experiences with those people, hey, awesome. That I would love to be able to do that at this time now.
Guys, we got through it.
Hey, Coach, let me say this, man, buddy. I appreciate you. Being South Carolina State, being the guy. I mean, I'm gonna tell you what, you showed me proud. I don't know about the rest of the millions of Bulldogs, but you certainly made me proud. I love what you're doing up there, and just keep on doing it. And shoot, I mean they talking about Eddie Robinson and guys like that. Well, shoot, you right up there. You right up there with them, man. And I'm, and I just say that amongst some of the South Carolina greats here. I really appreciate you being a Bulldog and doing it for the Bulldogs.
Amen.
Amen. I appreciate it. I'm looking forward to getting old Jonathan Saxon back here. He just spent a month out there with Pete Carroll with the Seahawks. I want to hear what he got to say about that experience.
All right, guys.
Thank you much. Hey, there's a lot of guys. I done took a lot of butt cutting. They're talking about Virgil Wells. Let me tell you what. Virgil beat me so bad one time I was at Keenan down over at Wilson until I'm still trying to figure out what.
He was something. He was something.
Thank you, boys. Thank you, everybody, guys. I appreciate you all. And, guys, y'all hang in there and keep working.
Hey, we appreciate you, man.
Thank you for having us.
Yeah,
thank you.
Thank you, Coach Leonard.
Yeah, we're gonna have you sign out with a final statement and everything. So we'll start with Tony. Any
Final statement: tough times don't last. Tough people do.
Thank you for coming on, Tony. I am honored. I am honored.
That's who was making all that noise in the background.
Yeah. What about you, Benny? Any closing words you want?
It's an honor for me to be just included in this panel, and to all you legends, you guys around the state, you've done it year in, year out. That's why your legacy will not be forgotten, because you're not a short timer. You've been doing this a long time, and you're successful at it, and you're doing it all for the right reasons.
Amen.
Tommy?
Well, I agree with Benny. It's just, never thought of myself as a legend. I've just been blessed and love doing what I do. And they always said, if you love what you're doing, it's not considered as work. So coaching has not been work. It's been a blessing, and it's been a ministry. And gentlemen, it's been truly a pleasure knowing all of you. And hopefully we can keep that relationship.
What about you, Big Daddy? Nate?
Oh, I'm sorry. Hey, let me tell you something. You called me and you told me who you were going to have on here. I made sure I set my time to look here. I want to make sure Lenny called me. I was not going to miss this group. Each and every one of you, man, we've touched each other in one way or another. I'm telling you, it's crazy. But each and every one of you played a role in some of the things I'm doing. I think you know that. It's me and Tommy go back to pleasure. if me and that fella above me, Mr. Felder, boy,
yes, sir.
He has a crazy time. And,
yes.
and that gentleman over there in the corner, I found out I thought I was a good coach until I looked him up and I said, "Oh Lord, Benny McMurray is the man." So I learned real quick who the man was. And Page schooled me, and Page thought I thought I was a good coach. I went down and won passing league and didn't know we weren't supposed to be in no passing league. Page went out and threw about 5 or 6 daggone receivers at a time. My kids said, "Coach, do we have to play them again?"
High low.
And Coach Buddy, I appreciate you to the highest, man, because I tell you what, a lot of kids out of Carver's Bay had a shot. It wasn't for you coming down there and taking a chance on them. I appreciate that. You know, and Coach Leonard, Lord have mercy. I ain't talking about what we go through. We about to have to cut the air off. But there's a couple of things I always tell my kids. I always tell my kids one thing. I'll leave y'all with this. I tell my kids, I said, when they do something, act crazy. I said, let me explain something. There's a little fella running around. His name is Stupid. Don't let him catch you. They understand. Hey, don't let him touch you now. He gonna touch you. You gonna do something stupid. You gonna tell me that was stupid. Yeah, but see, Stupid gone. He left you. So you got to pay the price. And the other one I always tell my kids is that, I tell them, I said, you got to remember something. I say, talk is cheap. Mr. Do is the man. You can talk a good game, but can you back it up? So don't tell me about how great you are. You go out there and prove it. Thank you, gentlemen. I appreciate you.
Darryl?
Well, you look at a panel like this, everybody on this panel has poured into me one way or another, whether it's for consultation, for advisement, whatever. Okay. And that's what I'd like to see younger coaches now do. Pour into each other. Okay. Pass that legacy along, because at the end of the day, the only person that can speak to you is somebody who's been in that same seat that you've been in. Okay? We all got shared experiences, and we sit down away from this camera and talk about those shared experiences all day. But guess what? We learn from somebody else. And that's what I share with you guys. Thank you for pouring into me. And by the same token, urge those who are watching us right now, do the same thing. Pour into the next guy. You never realize how far your influence will carry on. So I'll leave it at that.
Buddy, you want to close this out, or did you start?
Buddy started.
Buddy started? Okay, well.
I don't know, Buddy.
Well,
all right,
I was just going down the thing.
Yeah, look here. Hey, guys, I'm a high school guy. I appreciate you. Listen, I really, really enjoyed my so many years. I think I coached high school for about 14, 15 years. And I can tell you that 90% of the foundation of what I do came from that level of play. I can tell you without a doubt that some of the hardest matchups I had ever, was dealing with some of you guys. I'm looking at the screen right now. So, yeah, I coached against some pretty highfalutin guys in college, but I coached against a bunch of great high school football coaches. And we appreciate you. And I look forward to seeing you out here doing something between now and the time that we kick it all over to the next stage of our life. All right, guys.
All right, man. Well, listen, I really appreciate it, man. Didn't know if we were going to get this thing up, but I really appreciate you guys being on. And to all of you listening out there, just save this one, because you can always come back and get some golden nuggets and everything. I will be posting our next 2 coaches next week. I'm taking tomorrow off again, and get some R&R. So everybody, y'all have a good night.
You too.
And
all right.
And make sure you tell somebody you love them and give them a hug.
Night, y'all.
All right, guys.
Good night. Take care, man.
All right.
Be blessed.